When neighbors heard music blasting from a Lower East Side apartment for more than 24 hours straight, nobody could have imagined what police would find behind that door. The man who terrified audiences as one of cinema's most unforgettable villains had been discovered, and the circumstances surrounding his final moments have left Hollywood in absolute shock. What started as a wellness check turned into a tragedy that has everyone asking the same haunting question about what really happened in those final hours. Peter Greene was found dead Friday in his Manhattan apartment after a neighbor contacted police when music played all night with no response at the door. The character actor, who made his mark playing some of the most chilling bad guys in 1990s cinema, was pronounced dead at the scene. He was just 60 years old. But here's where things get even more disturbing. His manager, Gregg Edwards, received the news that would change everything, and what he revealed about Greene's condition just days before his passing has sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry. The discovery itself reads like something straight out of a crime thriller. Authorities arrived for a wellness check and found him deceased around 3:25 p.m. Police have stated no foul play is suspected, but the cause remains officially undetermined. What makes this even more unsettling is that Greene had been actively working, riding his bike everywhere around New York City, and was described as being in pretty good shape for his age. Nobody saw this coming, and the timing couldn't be more bizarre.
Greene wasn't just another actor. This was the guy who made you genuinely uncomfortable on screen. When Quentin Tarantino cast him as Zed in Pulp Fiction back in 1994, he created one of cinema's most disturbing characters. That same year, he went head-to-head with Jim Carrey in The Mask, playing the ruthless mobster Dorian Tyrell. Two iconic villain roles in one year. But what people don't realize is how Greene almost never made it to those breakthrough performances. His path to stardom was darker than any character he ever played. Born in Montclair, New Jersey in October 1965, Greene didn't pursue acting until his mid-20s. What he was doing before that would shock most people. According to a 1996 profile, he ran away from home at just 15 years old and ended up living on the streets of New York City. He hid in theaters to escape dangerous situations and eventually found his way into the world of acting. But the demons from those street days never fully left him. In March 1996, at the height of his career success, Greene faced his darkest moment and sought treatment afterward. This was a man who knew real darkness, which is exactly what made his villain performances so terrifyingly authentic. His breakthrough came with the 1992 film Laws of Gravity, where he starred alongside Edie Falco. Then came Clean Shaven in 1993, which screened at the Cannes Film Festival and caught Tarantino's attention. Directors weren't just hiring Greene to play bad guys, they were hiring him because he understood the psychology of broken, damaged people in ways that most actors couldn't access. He wasn't acting, he was channeling something real.
The Usual Suspects in 1995 gave him another memorable role as Redfoot, the fence who sets a heist in motion. Training Day in 2001 saw him delivering one of cinema's most uncomfortable moments opposite Denzel Washington, playing a corrupt detective who gets shot twice in a bulletproof vest to stage a cover-up. His line, "Kiss me, baby," right before Washington fires, became instantly iconic. These weren't throwaway villain roles. Greene made every single character unforgettable, even in small parts. But here's what makes his sudden passing even more mysterious. His manager revealed that Greene was scheduled to have surgery to remove a benign tumor near his lungs. The tumor was supposedly non-threatening, and Greene had been dealing with various health issues over recent years, but always fought through them. He was set to start production on an independent thriller called Mascots with Mickey Rourke in January. He was also narrating a documentary about humanitarian work with Jason Alexander and Kathleen Turner. The guy had projects lined up. He was working. He was riding his bike around Manhattan. And then suddenly, the music plays for 24 hours straight, and neighbors find him gone. Edwards, who managed Greene for over a decade, told reporters the death came as a complete shock. He wasn't that old, in pretty good shape for his age, rode his bike everywhere around New York, Edwards said. But there's more to this story that hasn't been widely discussed. Greene had a complicated history that shaped both his career and his personal struggles. In 2007, he was arrested for substance-related issues. Multiple sources confirm he battled with serious challenges throughout the 1990s, even during his peak Hollywood years. Directors who worked with him spoke about having to help him through difficult periods. One filmmaker even had to replace his voice work on a project due to the physical toll these struggles had taken.
What's fascinating is how Greene never let those struggles define his career choices. He kept working steadily, never chasing mainstream celebrity, but instead focusing on character roles that mattered. His estimated net worth at the time of his passing was around $1.5 million. Not the fortune some A-listers accumulate, but respectable for someone who built a career on supporting roles. He appeared in everything from Blue Streak with Martin Lawrence to television series like The Black Donnellys, Justified, Chicago PD, For Life, and most recently The Continental in 2023. His last credited appearance was in 2025 in an episode of Dope Thief. According to his IMDb page, he had several projects still in development. This wasn't a man who had retired or faded away. This was an active working actor who still commanded respect in the industry. Edwards called him one of the most brilliant character actors on the planet and truly one of the great actors of our generation. Coming from someone who knew him for over 10 years, those words carry weight. The circumstances of his discovery have raised questions that may never be fully answered. Why was the music playing continuously for over 24 hours? Was he listening to something specific in his final moments? The apartment was in the Lower East Side, a neighborhood Greene knew well from his years living in New York. This was his home turf, the city that shaped him from those teenage years on the streets to becoming a recognized face in Hollywood.
What makes Greene's legacy so powerful is how he transformed personal pain into art. His performance in Clean Shaven as a man struggling with schizophrenia remains one of the most disturbing and authentic portrayals of mental illness ever captured on film. He didn't play it for shock value. He played it with a deep understanding of human suffering. That same authenticity carried through every role, whether he was terrorizing Jim Carrey or going toe-to-toe with Denzel Washington. Fellow actors and filmmakers have been paying tribute across social media. Filmmaker Cody Clark called Laws of Gravity one of the most important low-budget independent films ever made, and noted it inspired many favorite filmmakers to make their own movies. The film was raw, gritty, and completely authentic, much like Greene himself. He never softened his performances for commercial appeal. He stayed true to the darkness, and audiences respected that commitment. Looking back at his 1994 double punch of Pulp Fiction and The Mask, it's clear Greene had a gift for making even the most over-the-top villains feel grounded and genuinely threatening. In The Mask, while Jim Carrey was doing cartoon-like antics, Greene played Dorian Tyrell completely straight, creating the perfect contrast that made the film work. In Pulp Fiction, his scenes were so intense that they're still discussed and analyzed decades later. Tarantino knew exactly what he was doing casting Greene in that role. The fact that Greene is survived by a sister and brother adds another layer of tragedy to this story. Edwards mentioned they had been notified of his death. For a man who ran away at 15 and spent years navigating the streets before finding success, reconnecting with family must have been significant. His story was one of redemption, of overcoming incredible odds, of turning pain into powerful performances that will outlive him.
When Carey Mondragon, writer-director of one of Greene's upcoming projects, heard the news from Edwards, he reportedly broke down in tears. This wasn't just another actor passing away. This was someone who clearly meant something deeply personal to the people who worked with him. Edwards emphasized that despite Greene's reputation for being difficult, he was really a good-hearted person. That contradiction between the tough exterior and the sensitive soul underneath defined both Greene's life and his art. The entertainment world moves fast, and actors come and go, but certain performances stick with you forever. Greene created villains that didn't just scare you in the moment, they haunted you afterward. They made you think about the nature of evil, about what drives people to darkness, about the thin line between sanity and chaos. He brought intellectual depth to roles that other actors might have played as one-dimensional bad guys. His apartment on Clinton Street in the Lower East Side will forever be marked by this tragedy. The ground-floor apartment where a neighbor first noticed something was wrong after that music kept playing endlessly. It's a detail that feels cinematic, almost like something from one of Greene's own films, the soundtrack continuing long after the story has ended.
What remains now is a body of work that spans 3 decades and includes some of the most memorable villain performances in cinema history. From his early breakthrough in Laws of Gravity to his final appearance in Dope Thief, Greene consistently delivered performances that elevated every project he touched. Directors trusted him because he brought something authentic and dangerous to every role. He never phoned it in. He never took the easy route. The medical examiner will eventually determine an official cause, but for those who knew Greene and those who admired his work, the loss is already felt deeply. This was a man who survived the streets, battled personal struggles, and built a career on his own terms. He worked with legends like Tarantino, Denzel Washington, Jim Carrey, and countless others who recognized his unique talent. He was scheduled for surgery, had projects lined up, and was still riding his bike around New York like he'd done for years. Peter Greene's story is ultimately about survival and transformation. The kid who ran away at 15 became one of Hollywood's most respected character actors. The man who faced his darkest moments used those experiences to create performances that will be studied and admired for generations. His villains weren't cartoons or caricatures. They were real, damaged, complicated human beings, just like Greene himself. That authenticity is what made him irreplaceable and what makes his sudden passing at 60 feel like an incomplete story. The music played on in that Lower East Side apartment, but the man who brought so much intensity to the screen had already taken his final bow.